Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Happy Friday. Jordan and Sarah are here with me today. Would you just like to quickly introduce yourselves?
Morning. My name's Sarah Ross. I'm the PR Account Director at Annika.
Hi, and I'm Jordan. I'm Paid Media Account Manager at Annika as well.
Okay, we're here to talk about tools for keyphrase research and content ideation. This slide deck today is just amazing. You're going to absolutely love it. Please don't worry, handouts are available. So you can, download those, quickly print them out, or download them later and make notes. Video, will be released later on as well. So if you've got, any meetings, 10 o'clock hard stop, we should be through by then anyway. So it's all, sorted. Anne's supporting me, lurking in the background. So she'll be on the Q&A, which is fantastic. And just to kind of get us talking, just so we know where you are, we just want to launch our poll. So I'll just read this out to you. So if you can reply, are you currently using keyword research for any of your marketing activities? So A, I've not used it before. For example, I am new to digital marketing, or I am not yet in a marketing role. B, no, it is someone else's responsibility, but I want to understand what this involves. C, I am doing SEO or PPC, but I get told the key phrases I need to use. I've seen that before. D, I am doing basic key phrase research for SEO purposes with free tools. E, I am doing basic key phrase research for PPC purposes with free tools. F, I'm using additional paid tools for key phrase research for SEO. And G, I am using additional paid tools for key phrase research for PPC. Right, there's a bit of a kind of split going on, mainly between I've not used it before and I'm doing basic key phrase research, really followed by 12% of you saying I'm using additional paid tools for key phrase research for SEO. So it's kind of fluctuating a little bit, but those are the main ones that are standing out to me. And then everyone else is kind of on the periphery. So that's quite interesting. What else to say? Can I just quickly just do a quick sound check, just make sure we're all okay before we get going. And then, we're here to support you. I'll be handing over to Jordan and Sarah. And we've got some fantastic offers later on. It's actually our 15th birthday and anniversary coming up for Annika. So we're really proud about that. Lots to tell you about as well. So I've had a few messages. I think the sound's okay. So with that, I'll just give it one more minute just for a couple more people to arrive, I think, and then we'll get going. And just to say, I think some people have just come on. Handouts are available. The video will be available on demand. We usually release that within a couple of hours after, the hard stop at 10 o'clock. So don't worry about that. We're here to support you on Q&A. If there's anything you're not sure about, just put it in there, because we can speak to Jordan and Sarah throughout. And obviously, Anne and I have been in marketing about 20 years as well, and can provide you with some of our knowledge as well. So that's all fine. Okay. Right. With that, guys, are you ready to go? Raring to go?
Yeah.
Coffee's at the ready. Okay. Well, I'm going to turn my camera off and hand it over to you, and I'll be lurking in the background with Anne, and just feel free to message me. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks, Katie. So it's talking research, going through a few tools, and talking about why it's important, why it's so valuable for your site, and then some ideas at the end for content ideation as well.
I'll introduce myself again and give you a bit more information. I'm Jordan, Paid Media Account Manager at Annika. So I've been at Annika for about 2 years now. Basically, what Paid Media Account Manager means is that I sort of run Google ads, Microsoft ads, them sort of campaigns, search campaigns, but I also do social media campaigns as well. So I run Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the other stuff as well. So yeah, it's sort of 2 in 1, my role. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And I'll let you talk about yourself, Sarah.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm a PR account director at Anika. I've been with the company for about 7 years now. But my role really overlaps with SEO and content. So in terms of key phrase research and creating content, optimizing content, that's a big part of what I do. And I work across quite a mix of B2B and B2C. So we've got some good examples of kind of how we apply that and how to do that for different industries as well. So in terms of Anika, so as Katie mentioned, we've been around since 2007. So we're celebrating our 15th birthday this year. We've got about 27 crew members at the minute, more than 45 clients, and that's across a really broad range of industries. And as part of our 15th birthday celebrations, our mission is really to support your digital ambitions. So you know, whatever industry you're in, whether that's construction, STEM, whether you're a local business or you're manufacturing in the UK, we really want to use digital to support what you're doing.
Okay, so what are key phrases and why do we need to use them? So the basic definition of key phrases are key phrases or keywords or descriptions that we type into the search engines to find products, services, or information. The websites with the results that Google considers most relevant will be displayed within the results. So you'll see one acronym there already, SERPs, which basically means search engine results page. So it's not just Google, you've got the likes of Yahoo, Bing, there's a couple of others out there as well, DuckDuckGo, they're all search engines. And just to point out at this point as well, so key phrase is sort of what SEO refer to, what PPC would refer to as keywords. So they're basically the same, but if you're working from a PPC side or you're working from a SEO side, you sort of call them different things, but effectively, as you see through the presentation, they're the same thing. So why are they important? They're pretty much essential to driving any traffic to your website. So for SEO, it's trying to get the organic results, appearing within the organic results and people going onto your website. And in terms of keywords, it's trying to appear at the top and someone clicking on your ad to sort of get to your website. So it's all really about making sure that either your pages are optimized for the words that people are searching for, or your ads are targeting the keywords people are searching for as well. And in the terms of sort of keywords, so PPC, paid ads, it's a really good way of effectively targeting certain search terms to get that traffic to your website as well.
So yeah, these stats just really underline how important key phrases are and the role that they play. So 90% of pages receive no traffic from Google, and partly that's due to a lack of optimization for relevant key phrases. So if you don't have key phrases on your website, then users aren't going to be able to find you in Google. So you're missing out on valuable traffic. Only 5% of pages receive 1 to 10 visits. So that's a huge proportion of pages that are receiving very little or no traffic. And that's based on a study of 1 billion pages. So it really underlines the importance of key phrases and getting those right and getting those on your website. But key phrases, we want to drive traffic to the site and we want that traffic to convert. But in terms of content, key phrases are also really valuable for helping us to create content that's valuable for the audience. It can tell us, different audience insights, trends, different ways that people are searching and the topics that they're interested in. So Google's year in search, I don't know if you saw this at the end of 2021, but they did a roundup of how we've all been searching. So I've just pulled out a few of those topics just to demonstrate, different topic areas that potentially you could look at based on how people are searching. So global search interest for where can I travel was 3 times higher in 2021 compared to pre-pandemic levels. No surprise there. I think we're all desperate for a holiday. Questions around climate change and eating less meat. They were breakout searches in the UK in October 2021, and that's because that coincided with the climate summit in Glasgow. So, that really helped to influence the way that people were searching and the topics that people were searching for during that time. The Suez Canal, of course, so that became a breakout search term worldwide when it blocked the when the Ever Given blocked the Suez Canal and disrupted global trade. But it wasn't just an industry topic. We were all hooked on this on social media. It was, it became something that regular users were interested in finding out more about. And then there were more searches for how to start a business than how to get a job in 2021. So, in terms of creating content, that could be a really valuable angle for you if you provide a service that is perhaps supporting SMEs or startup businesses, whether that might be insurance or, some sort of supporting industry. It's really important to follow what people are searching for in terms of information and using that as inspiration.
So 90 or nearly 92% of searches on Google are long tail keywords. And basically what long tail keywords are sort of search terms where people sort of know what they want. So it might be, I want a sofa in red with this pattern on it. It's sort of a long tail. The person's looking for that exact sofa, for example, and 92%. So pretty much the majority of searches are them type of keywords. Nearly 15% come from a question as well. So as Sarah mentioned on the previous slide, it might be how to get a job or how to start a business. So people are maybe at that awareness stage where they're aware that they need some form of information. So they sort of just put a sort of generic search in and then see where Google basically takes them. And 15% of Google searches are considered new each year. So you can imagine when you've got the likes of 92% of keywords being long tail keywords, it's quite hard to sort of keep up with targeting all them long keywords. So that's where you could, later on you'll see sort of the keyword planner and so on, and that's where you have to think about all of this, what keywords you're targeting, so that you can try capture them long tail keywords as much as possible, and a lot of them new searches as well that are coming in.
So a bit more detail on short tail key phrases and long tail key phrases. So Kate, we're just about to answer your question there. So a short tail key phrase tends to be maybe about 1 or 2 words, and they account for 30% of all search traffic. So short tail key phrases tend to be high in search volume, so there's a lot of people searching for them, but that means that there's also a lot of competition. So if you're up against some really big brands, you're going to be potentially struggling to rank compared to those big brands. And also because people aren't looking so specifically, it's harder to convert that traffic, whether that's lead generation or e-commerce. So so that's short tail, and then we've got long tail key phrases. So these account for a larger proportion of search traffic. And as Jordan's just mentioned, this tends to be things like questions, longer tail. If people are being really specific about what they're trying to search for, then that's going to come in the form of a long tail key phrase. So this is going to be, three words or more. And the increase in voice search has impacted this as well, because obviously the way that we search when we're speaking is a lot different to what we type in. We tend to type in, shorter phrases. So that's long tail. The benefit of using long tail key phrases is that although the search volumes tend to be lower than those short tail key phrases, the competition also tends to be lower as well. So it's easier to rank for those key phrases for your website. And then it's easier to convert compared to those short tail key phrases. So that just gives a bit of background on those two different types. And we've just broken that down into a table just so it's easier to see. So short tail key phrases tend to be a bit vaguer. So, you might be looking for a 2-seater sofa. But if you were looking more specifically, you might be looking for a green velvet 2-seater sofa, for example. So, and whilst those long tail key phrases tend to have lower search volume, it's going to be easier to optimize for those and get conversions from that traffic. So when we come to look in more detail at the key phrases we want to use, it's really valuable to combine some short tail and some long tail key phrases to get a mix of that traffic into your site.
So typically, as Sarah just said, we've broken this down again. So as it says here, typically 1 or 2 words for short tail, and then long tail, you can see that considerably longer, and one of them is even a question. So you can sort of see the difference in them. And when I was speaking earlier about sort of keywords, for example, you could look to target. Now, you don't have to know it. This is just an example. But if you're doing a phrase match where basically digital marketing, that phrase needs to be in the search term somewhere, you could look to target that. And it could be how much does digital marketing cost, or whatever it may be. So that would be like some more long tail keyword. But when you start thinking about search intent and all the rest of it, that's where you start to try to be clever. And I'm sure it's the same with SEO and how they try to put the long tail and the short tail keywords together to basically try and appear for all them new searches that might be appearing that they don't know what the phrase or the question is going to be, how it's going to be worded. But yeah, there's some examples for you to look at and reflect on as well in the handout. So when we talk about keywords, so when we're talking about search ads and pay-per-click ads, we break them down into 3 different types. So the first one is a brand keyword, and that's sort of any term that contains a reference to your brand. The main aim being to protect or defend your brand against competitors. So competitors could be, for example, bidded on Anika Digital. So therefore, we would then do keyword research around that and make sure, obviously, we've got the main ones, obviously, Anika Digital, but there might be other ways that people refer to Anika Digital that we might want to bid on as well to protect our brand. So you've got a couple here as well. So the Range Furniture, Experian Credit Report, and Yankee Candle. So if you were them company, you would most likely bid on them because in the instance of Yankee Candle, you don't want a competitor called Red Candle or whatever it may be bidding on Yankee Candle and potentially taking that person who was going to buy a Yankee Candle. They might then click on that other ad and go buy a Red Candle instead. So the second way we split out the keywords is into generic. So these are more describing the product or service as a whole. So they're not containing brand keywords. And this is more to prospect and reach new audiences. So the examples here are Adidas football boots, accounting software, and mobile phone deals. They're more generic. There is something to note here. One of the examples obviously contains Adidas. So this is if it's sort of a third-party brand. So, for example, if it was, I was going to say JJB, but they're not around anymore. JD Sports or Sports Direct, they will both be selling Adidas football boots. So they would be going for that search term of Adidas football boots because it's still generic to them because there's loads of different Adidas football boots around. So it's quite generic in that sense, and they would be bidding on that. Whereas, if it was Adidas themselves, then it would be slightly different. But if it's a third party brand like that, it would sort of fall into generic. And then the last category we sort of put keywords into is competitor. So these are just, as I said earlier, JD Sports. Sports Direct may be wanting to bid on JD Sports brand. So if someone's searching for JD Sports and is, with the intention of clicking on that and going onto their website to buy, a top or whatever it may be, potentially Sports Direct would have a competitor campaign set up to bid on that keyword with the hope of basically getting that person to go onto their website instead and buy a top from them instead. Just one thing to note about competitor keywords, because you effectively aren't that competitor, when it comes to stuff like trying to optimize your landing page, you're not that brand, so you can't mention their brand. So therefore your quality score, which we'll again mention later on, it's, badly affected because your landing page and your ad copy and anything aren't containing the keywords that you're trying to target. But we'll discuss that a little bit later on and explain it a bit more. So the first example I've got here is someone searching for fence panels, and what they're met with is at the top they have shopping ads. So by Google Ads, the shopping ads, and this is where everyone's listing their type of fences or whatever it may be. And then under the shopping ads, you have pay-per-click or Google Ads, text ads. So this is people actively bidding on the keyword, which is fence panels. And then under that, you have your organic or your natural search results. So this is where Sarah's work comes into play in her trying to optimize the pages so that they appear at the top of the organic results. But as you can see from this example, there is a justification for paying for ads because you sort of get above the organic search results in terms of Google text ads. But if you were to do shopping ads, you would even appear above them text ads as well. So you can sort of see how the search and results are impacted by the key phrase and the keyword research that me and Sarah do.
In terms of SEO as well, so local SEO is really important. Making sure your Google My Business profile is optimized and updated, because there's a real increase in people searching for services near me or searching for services by location. So, for example, you can see here, this is the Annika Digital profile appearing on Google Maps. And then when we look at the organic search results, we can see that we're appearing here for SEO agency based in Leicester. So we've optimized for our location as well.
Yeah, and then here's just another example of the keywords. So as you can see, they're broken down into brand, generic, and competitor. So if you were the brand B&Q, you might bid for keywords such as B&Q B&Q tools, B&Q paint, etc. And then you might also bid for generic ones, so DIY supplies or power tools, because they don't know what power tool or DIY supplies they want, but they know they want some form of that. And then, as I said earlier, that third-party Dulux, all their competitors will be bidding for that as well. And the person knows they want Dulux, but not necessarily what Dulux paint they want or where they want it from. And then you'd have competitor, where you'd potentially bid on the likes of Wix or Wix tools, or potentially, the Dulux equivalent. So Wilko's own brand paint or wherever it may be, you might be bidding on that. But your ad would be containing Dulux to basically try take again people away from buying Wilko's paint and actually buying the Dulux paint that you're selling. And then there's some examples for queries as well and how that would work out. So you can sort of reflect back on these in the handout.
So I've just included here an example of how we apply key phrases in SEO. So here we've got the home page for Annika, and we're optimized for digital marketing and digital marketing agency. And the way that you can see that is with this plugin, which is called SEO Meta in one click. So this is a free plugin. You can use it on Chrome. I think it's available for other browsers as well. But yes, this is really useful because we can see at a glance the key phrases that we've optimized the page for. So if you're looking for inspiration and you're wanting to see what a competitor has optimized their site for, this is a really good starting place because it gives us the breakdown of the key phrase, where we've placed those key phrases, basically. So just to show that in more detail. So we've optimized for digital marketing agency, and you can see that because we've included that key phrase within the title tag. So the title tag is this text here in purple. So that would be the URL, and that appears as a title tag in the search engine results. So we can see that we've included that key phrase there, and we can see that it's in bold in the meta description as well, because we've included the key phrase when we've optimized the meta description. And in terms of the rest of the page, so it's really important to get your key phrase in all of the right places within the content that's on that page. So the title tag, the meta description are key because that's what people see when they're searching for something in Google. So that's going to encourage them to click through to our site if they're searching for a digital marketing agency. But also it's really important to get those key phrases on the page itself as well. So they need to be within the body content and within the heading tags on that page.
So here's an example of combining the two. So combining sort of the keyword research that I will do from a pay-per-click perspective, and then what Sarah does in terms of her tools she uses in finding the SEO key phrases. So you can see here, like I said, just discussed, the main keyword, the keyword we'd be bidding on here and wanting to appear for organically would be paid media services. So we've already got it at the top in the headlines. We've got them in the, now you'll have to correct me here, Sarah, because I don't actually look at this too much, but the headline twos, which is the coloured headlines, again mentioning paid media as well within them, and then the paragraphs of content again mentions paid media, and in them paragraphs there might be where they start off calling it paid media, but then start to refer to it as the other regularly used words of saying it. So you'd have maybe your long tail and your short tail keyword sort of sewn into the content, all with the objective of appearing organically and making sure that when sort of the PPC guys and girls do their work, that their keywords are going to appear relevant, because when you send that person to the website, it then still talks about the same sort of stuff. So they're really, really good as well, these optimized pages for DSAs or dynamic search ads. So this is where effectively you take all your URLs, or ones that you're wanting to use. You might have loads of URLs based on watches, for example, and you'd take all of them and you'd put it into a campaign, write 1 or 2 descriptions, which are like 90-character things to describe your business, or for example, in this case, a watch. And then you'd basically hand that information over to Google, and Google would crawl your website and effectively create the rest of the ad based on the content on your website. And it'd also look at your website and pick out sort of the search terms and the keywords. And it's a really good way of finding additional keywords, or how people are searching for, in this example, watches, and that you might not have thought of or weren't in your account. And that all comes back to that, that all them new searches that happen daily, that you just can't keep up with. DSAs work, and they work really well when a page is optimized.
When we're looking at key phrases, it's really important to keep in mind the user search intent. And to do this, we need to validate our key phrases whilst we're researching them, so before we apply them to the pages that we're optimizing. So what we want to do is understand exactly what the user's looking for, and evaluate whether the key phrases that we want to use deliver what they're looking for. Because if it doesn't, then they're just going to bounce off, and we're not going to get those conversions that we need. So to ensure that we're matching the key phrases to our audience search intent, there's a few things to keep in mind. So it's really valuable to create your own brief before you start that key phrase research process. So, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Is it general increase in visibility within Google? Are you trying to inform and educate the audience in order to, then encourage purchase or lead generation? Are you trying to encourage engagement? Are you wanting to drive traffic, perhaps from a blog post to a product page? So key questions that we might look at before we start that process. So we want to know who our customers and our audience are. What are they wanting to know? What are they looking to buy? What is their knowledge level? This is really important because it can be really easy to overlook. If you work in an industry where you have really specific terminology, do your customers know those terms? The terms that you use in-house, is that something that the audience would know and understand? Or are they perhaps searching in a different way? It's important to consider that you might need to combine different types of key phrases so that you're bringing in people that have that industry knowledge and are using that jargon, but also customers that might be at the start of that journey and they don't necessarily know those terms. So, and also, who are your competitors online? Because this is really important. You need to know who you're competing against, but also it can give us some shortcuts in terms of starting that key phrase research and giving us something to get started with. What are the types of phrases that we're going to be looking at? So the answers to these will help you as you're getting started. And there's different types of search intent as well. So when users are searching, it might be that they are looking specifically for the page that's going to give them exactly what they want. So whether that's a specific product or whether it's information on that product, they're looking to land specifically on the page that's going to give them all of that information that they need. This can often be related to brand terms. So some of those examples that Jordan's shown of the different brand terms and how people use them when searching in PPC, that can also be the case in SEO as well. So that's navigational. And then we've got informational, and this is where those long tail key phrases come in. So this is at a higher point in the awareness stage. So people are looking for that background information. They're looking for more detail. Perhaps they are buying a new product and they want to, look at reviews and understand what other people have said about things. It might be that they're looking for an FAQ blog post or guide that gives them background information on the service or the product that they're looking for. So some examples here, what is the most popular type of packaging, or what's the cheapest form of packaging? And then we've got transactional, where this is where users are ready to purchase. So what we want to do is use key phrases that are going to help to convert them. So if they're searching for, keeping on the packaging theme, so if they're searching for packaging, it might be buy custom packaging or order packaging boxes, because they're ready to purchase those products. So if we wanted to apply this to an example, so we've got a website that's selling TVs, and we are looking at a particular type, so 4K LED TVs. We're going to do some key phrase around that, key phrase research around that topic, and then optimize our page. So the background information that the client has given us is that Samsung 50-inch TVs make more money for them. So this is really an area of emphasis for them. So we need to keep that in mind when we're doing our key phrase research and planning out how we're going to optimize that page. So if they give us a target of selling 500 units via organic within 6 months, what we need to do is come up with a plan that combines key phrases that are going to give us the visibility that we need in Google, but also keep in mind who we're competing against and how quickly we're going to become visible in Google. So it might be that we need to find less competitive key phrases compared to the likes of Currys or those big brand names that are going to appear at the top of the search engine results pages. So in order to rank faster, we're probably going to need to look at some long tail key phrases to bring people in during the informational stage and to rank faster within that target time frame. So our approach would be a combination of problem solving and technical terms. So we're going to combine those user search intents in terms of informational, navigational, and purchase. We're going to combine different types of key phrases to help educate people on that journey and then convert them. So we would potentially look at optimizing a guide or an FAQs page and then linking to a product page from that, because that's going to be the strongest approach for us within that time frame.
So in terms of looking at it from a PPC perspective, we would probably look at it slightly different, but the logic and everything else is effectively the same. We just like to call it different things. So in terms of how we'd be looking at the buyer funnel, is we'd be looking at it in 3 stages. So awareness, research, and then their sort of buying stage or their conversion stage. So the awareness, we might see search terms or keywords such as how to unblock a sink. Now, depending on how much budget you have and your intentions, you might, for a PPC, you might not want to bid on them sort of terms because they're very high up the buyer cycle, and you're obviously paying for people clicking on that. That might be where the SEO comes into play, and they're doing content around that. And it might be a blog on how to unblock your sink, and then it might have a link says going off to their own product that helps unblock the sink and is sort of that the guide or whatever they've just given you, that's the best product for that guide. So where we might want to come into the funnel from a PPC sort of angle is types of drain cleaner. So they're aware that they have a blocked sink, but they're not necessarily sure what brand or what will unblock it, if it's a plunger or it's sort of salts or whatever that you put down the drain. So at that point, you can sort of grab them and sort of educate them and take them through that cycle and say, our product is the best product. And then, that's where price and everything comes into play as well. And then at the bottom, these might be, they're more certain of what they want. They're searching for, in this instance, Mr. Muscle drain and blocker. So they sort of know what brand they want. They sort of know that the type of product they want. So it's just a case of appearing at the top of the search engine results page and basically, again, convincing them to buy it from you. So they're going to be really exact sort of phrases that they will use and you might bid on. And it's going to be really competitive as you go down the funnel, because they're sort of the ones which have the higher search intent and the higher purchase intent. So obviously all your competitors as well will be bidding on them search terms, where they may necessarily not be bidding on the search terms further up the buyer funnel. So just sort of an example of how you can sort of optimize your ad copy to do this. So the search being family solicitors near me. So it indicates that they're aware that I need a family solicitor and they need sort of legal help. And at this stage, they're looking for the options. So they don't know that they want to go for a certain company. And they might not know what legal advice they need, but they know they need some sort of advice at this point. And a really big search intent indicator here is the near me element. So you'll see in some instances people, if it be a solicitor or a plumber or whatever it may be, the element of them being nearby and local is a real big factor in them potentially, going with them or even clicking on the ad. So in terms of this as well, you can really use what the search intent is. So you can put stuff in the ad copy like near me and stuff like that. But what you can also do when understanding the search intent is if that person has initially clicked on one of your, higher level generic keywords or ads that you've got where it's just a family solicitor, and they've gone through and they've gone onto your childbirth claims page or whatever it may be, you can look to basically then retarget them through remarketing lists for search ads. And effectively what that means is you overlay that remarketing audience that you've established, everyone who's viewed this page. And what you'll do is basically put a positive bid adjustment on it and say, I want to pay more for these people because I know their search intent is more. And I've customized my ad as well to include the stuff they're looking for, because I know they're looking for that childbirth claim type stuff. And other instances is, for example, they've gone onto your website, they've viewed your product, it could be a drain cleaner or whatever it may be, haven't bought it, they fall into that audience, and then you may remarket to them with a discount or free delivery or something, just to basically get them back and get them to purchase the product. So that's really, search intent is really important, and understanding that you can use it to really, push the person in the way you want them to go in terms of the buyer funnel. So where do you find keywords? And I'm just a bit cautious of the time because there's not too much time left. So in terms of PPC, the keyword planner tool is effectively the only real tool that I would use. I know there's others out there, but this tool is sort of free as well. So it's native to Google, and Microsoft Ads also have a beta version of this as well. So you'll probably notice we talk a lot about Google, and that's because the majority of the searches done in the UK are through Google, but there is the Microsoft Ads as well that you could do all this on as well. So the tool basically shows me what the estimated search volume is, the estimated cost per click that it would be to target the keywords that I would like to target. So in terms of how I do it, you can see at the top of that example, I would put in sort of the keywords that I'm aware of that people are searching for, in this instance, boiler servicing or boiler service. And I would then get given back by Google all the search results below. So you'll see sort of the ones in red, and a couple of them contain near me as a search intent as well. So I'd go through, and with the knowledge of search intent and what bit of the buyer cycle I want to start to engage people at, I would then add these as keywords into a campaign. And I could also, in the little black box, you can put in your URL and basically filter them search results, with the hope of obviously getting rid of all the irrelevant ones that Google deems to be relevant based on your landing page. You can also do that, as I discussed earlier, the optimized SEO pages. If they're really well optimized, you can start off your keyword research with just putting in the landing page, and then that will bring back all these keywords that you might want to target. Again, when you're looking at the keywords, you need to understand the search intent. So awareness would be stuff like how to unblock a sink, buy a sink, unblocker, or Mr. Bustle's sink unblocker would be they're looking to buy it and they're at that buyer stage. And then products to unblock sinks and types of sink unblockers, that would be research. So again, when you're looking for the keywords, you need to sort of determine what ones you would bid, and maybe you wouldn't add how to unblock a sink into your keyword plan. You can also do exclusions as well, just to refine the keywords, because some of these things, when you come back, they have, hundreds of keywords that you have to go through and scroll through. So if you instantly know that you don't want any brands to be mentioned, because it's a generic campaign and you're not using any third-party brands such as Dulux or Adidas, you can just exclude all of their non-brands. Likewise, you can see at the bottom, it says service, and in there will be stuff like, in this instance, boiler service and boiler replacement. Now, you as a company might not do boiler replacement, so you might not necessarily bid on boiler replacement keywords. So you might then exclude that out from your keyword results, so you don't have to go through so many keywords. And then again, forecast. Once you've got your keywords together, you can click on the forecast tool and it will tell you sort of from your budget and from sort of historical data and ad quality in your account, what you can expect the cost per click to be, what you can expect your click-through rate to be, and effectively, if you spend this much, we're half predicting that you might get this much back in terms of conversions.
So in terms of SEO, when we're looking for key phrases, so a really useful place to start is Google Search Console. So this is free, and this shows us what we're already being found for, what people are seeing in the search engine. So we can view our performance data and find out what key phrases are being used already, and that gives us a starting point to start mapping out our key phrases. And it can also highlight opportunities to improve optimization on existing pages. So, it might be that we're already optimized and we're already using that key phrase, but it might highlight an opportunity for us to improve our optimization and get more click-through. So that's a free tool. An example of a paid tool that we use in SEO is Ahrefs. So we use this for monitoring the backlink profile of a website, but also it's really useful for helping us to get started with looking at a competitor's key phrases. So the example that I've used here again is packaging. and I'm looking to see what a website has optimized for in terms of packaging and custom packaging. So that gives me some terms to start working with, and it also gives me the search volume as well. So that tells me how many people per month are searching for this term. So the higher the search volume, the more competitive that tends to be. So what I would then start to look at is, you know, how relevant are these key phrases for my site, and how can I combine them so that I'm getting a mix of this search volume. In terms of a free tool that will help you do this as well. So the keyword tool, this is free. You don't get all of the data, so you won't get to see all of that search volume, but it's a really useful tool for finding variations of a key phrase. So if you put in product packaging, it's going to show you the different ways that people are searching around that term. So it might be around services or supplies or particular products. And the reason I like this tool as well is that you can look for keyword suggestions for those short tail key phrases. So those key phrases where people are, you know, being a bit more vague about how they're searching. But there's also a tab where you can look at the types of questions that people are asking as well. So then we can start bringing in some of those long tail key phrases and combining those with the short tail key phrases. So here's an example of what that looks like in terms of product packaging. So, you know, is product packaging recyclable? And you recycle product packaging? So it might be that these are the kinds of questions that your users might want to know if you're a packaging supplier. And you can start combining those to create supporting content that helps that user journey. Another free plugin. So this is really a really handy tool for when you're searching for something in Google. So all of this information, if you use this plugin, this information will be displayed on the right-hand side in the Google results. So if you put in a specific keyword, key phrase, it's going to give you different variations and different ways that people are searching. So, you know, it might be that you haven't thought about, you know, the different ways that people will search around a certain topic. So this really helps to speed up that journey. So it gives us related key phrases, it gives us what people are also searching for, and it gives us variations of long tail key phrases as well. But also at the top of the page, it gives us this graph of search trend over time. So I've included 5 years worth of trend data here so that we can see that the peak for custom packaging actually happened in 2020. So it's interesting to see how those changes, how those searches are changing over time as well. So this is, yeah, I really recommend adding this tool. And then we've got topics by SEO Monitor. So this is another free one. And again, we're putting in our key phrase. We've got a short tail key phrase there. And what it's going to do, these are the types of results it's going to give us. It's going to give us all of those variations of how people are searching. But it's also going to give us that search volume information. So that's really powerful for, you know, planning what key phrases we're going to use, because, you know, we need to ensure that we're using key phrases that do have search volume. Otherwise, as we've seen with those stats at the start, 90% of pages aren't getting any traffic through from Google because of their lack of key phrases. So that's why search volume is really important, because we need to make sure that people are actually searching for the terms that we're using. And in terms of a paid tool, so this is what we use at Annika. We use SEO Monitor, and we put in all of our key phrases, all of that competitor research that we've done. We put it in this tool, and then it's going to give us some really important metrics that are going to help us to determine the key phrases that we want to use. So it's going to give us that search volume information, but it's also going to tell us how that search volume has changed over time. And that's something that's really been impacted over the last 2 years with the pandemic, because search behavior has changed dramatically. We were all shopping online more, we were all searching online more because we were stuck at home. So that's going to impact on search volume. And the tool also tells us where we're ranking at the moment in Google. So this shows us that we're ranking 99 plus. So we're not being seen in Google at all for these phrases at the moment. And it gives us a opportunity score as well. So it tells us how easy or difficult it's going to be for our site to rank for these key phrases when compared to the competition. And so this just gives a bit more detail about how we go about selecting those key phrases. So it really is a combination of that search volume, the difficulty score, and where we're ranking already. So, if we're seeing key phrases where we're ranking at 20 something or 30 something, it's going to be easier and quicker for us to fully optimize for that key phrase and become more visible. And ideally, we're looking for to use several key phrases on one page. So this is where combining your short tail and your long tail key phrases really comes in handy. And with some of those long tail key phrases, potentially you're incorporating some of those short tail key phrases in there anyway. And then when we've got a selection of our key phrases, we're going to start mapping out to the pages on our website. So the different URLs, where we want to send that traffic and where we want to optimize those key phrases.
Okay, so I'll just sort of go through this quickly. So quality score. So this is really important in terms of when you're doing your search ads. So quality score is a grade sort of out of 10 that Google provides to indicate how relevant the different elements of your account is to the customer's needs. And the quality score directly impacts sort of how much you pay per click as well. So it's a combination of ad relevance, expected click-through rate, and landing page experience, which we'll touch on a bit more in the other slides. So ad relevance, this all comes down to your ad matching what the searcher is searching. So for example, if they were searching sink unblocker and then you provide them a toilet unblocker, it might not be the same thing that they're searching for. So you might be bidding on the keyword as sink unblocker, but showing them a bathroom, a toilet unblocker. So it doesn't quite add up. It's not quite relevant enough. And sometimes this can be down to sort of your ad groups effectively not containing the right keywords within them, so your ads appearing for the wrong keywords. In terms of the expected click-through, this is sort of a prediction and is different to the actual click-through rate you might be seeing in your account. So it sort of considers how the keyword performs both on your account and across sort of all the other advertisers' accounts as well. And it, just to make you aware as well, it sort of excludes the stuff like site links, structured snippets, call outs, and all the rest of it. It purely just looks at the ad itself without any of the extensions on it. And then the most important one is sort of the landing page experience. And this is, they all tie in together. But this is sort of, as I said, offering that relevant, useful original content, promoting transparency. So that's where you have stuff like your address, ways to call them, and stuff like that, making it really easy as well for them to navigate. And, if they're, the example I keep using is sink unblocker. If you get your ad and your keyword is all about unblocking sinks, and then you drop them onto a page which isn't about sinks, and it's really hard for them to then get to that page to buy the product that you sort of promised them in the ad. Things like that can really, disconnect the buyer, journey And these three things combined make up your quality score. And if one of them is, out, your ad isn't relevant, or your keywords you're using aren't relevant, or your landing page isn't relevant, it really impacts your quality score, which in turn, affects your cost per click, and how much Google actually shows your ad to people. Because if it's not relevant, there's probably more competitors out there with relevant ads that Google will show instead. Were you going to say something, Katie, or?
No, Anne's instructed me to appear, so here I am.
Yeah.
But we are at 10 o'clock, so.
We are at 10 o'clock. I mean, we've still got another about 15 slides to go of really good information. But yeah, do you want us to stop and then you can do your other stuff?
No, I think we can keep going for a couple more minutes. We'll see how we go. Perfect.
Okay, yeah. So when you're assessing your quality score, Google sort of ranks you in 3 different ways. So it's below average, average, or above average. And this is all in terms of your keywords. So below average, as I said, is the combination of your ad, your keyword, or your landing page not performing as expected and not being as relevant as expected. Average meaning there's no real problems with your keywords, but there is room for improvement there. The keywords you could make them more relevant. Your ads could speak about the keywords a bit more, or your landing page could be, improved. And then above average is basically your keyword is outperforming others across the Google ads in terms of like the same category. So this is where if you see that you're getting quality score of 9 or 10 out of 10, you would then look at them, that ad group, that campaign, that keyword, and understand why it's that good, and then take them learnings and make sure that the rest of your account sort of does that. So, some of your campaigns might be using old landing pages. So this might be a justification to then move them all over to that new type of landing page you used for that certain campaign, which is more hyper relevant.
So yeah, I'm just going to whiz through these slides really, really quickly. So key phrases are also really valuable when it comes to creating content as well. So like we've said earlier on, those long tail key phrases, the information that people are looking to find out before they make a purchase or before they complete that lead generation form. So, it can really, really help with that customer journey. So the types of different content that you want to be using your key phrase research for is, FAQs pieces, answering common customer queries, and this can help you to appear in featured snippets. So this example here from the very top of Google, and getting featured snippets is really valuable for brand awareness and click-through as well. We can also create how-to guides. How are people searching around how to fix something, how to make something. Shopping guides as well. So I did mention in the chat, so if we were talking about sustainable coats for boys, back to school, for example, is a really, really great opportunity to be talking about those and creating a shopping guide that's going to be really valuable for your audience. And it might be that you want to bring in other products from other brands that kind of, tie into your ethos. So, what other sustainable brands are there out there that you could mention in your shopping guide? Because they might then share that on social media. And thought leadership, opinion pieces, what you talk about in terms of trends, predictions, user behavior, like we saw with the Google year in search, those different trends there. Are there any topics that overlap with what you do as a business, and what kind of comment can you make on those topics? So creating content, the benefits of using key phrases within that content, we're optimizing for those long tail key phrases. We're going to bring in additional traffic. Potentially we're looking to attract a new audience as well. It's really good acting as a trust signal as well, because you're providing audiences with the information that they want. You're positioning yourself as an expert. So That's then going to encourage conversions. We really want to get those featured snippet positions to raise our profile, and that's all going to help to build backlinks, which is really powerful for SEO. So in terms of content, so this is one of my favorite tools, Answer the Public. It's free. You have 2 free searches a day. So if you're doing a lot of research, just, plan that out. And what I've done here, I've added in keeping on the packaging theme, and it displays all of the different ways that people are searching around packaging in terms of, the who, what, why, where, those sorts of questions that people are asking. And then we can download from there. We can download an Excel with all of those questions in. And that means that we can use that document to start mapping out what our content's going to look like. What are the questions that people are asking that relate to what we do, and how can we answer them with content and with those FAQs pieces? So yeah, what we want to do is, look at how people are using those long tail key phrases, create structured content that gives them the answers that they want, and answer real customer queries. And then that content can also then be repurposed for PR and for social media. Google Trends is another free tool, and this tells us how search behavior is changing over time. So again, with packaging, I've put in here recyclable packaging, cardboard packaging, eco packaging. How are people, how has search behavior increased over time, and what are the terms that people are using around that topic? Because that can help to inspire content and give us ideas for creating content that incorporates key phrases. And then for reviewing and updating, so as we saw at the start, 15% of searches in Google are new. Daily searches are new. So, we need to be reviewing and updating our key phrase research on a regular basis, and keeping up to date with how search behavior is changing, how those interests and trends are changing over time. And it might be that there's new terminology around products or a certain industry. If there's new products, new services, we want to make sure that we're bringing in those key phrases that relate to those.
Yeah, and then this is just a summary, but for the interest of time, I won't read through it. But these are all the things that we've covered, so you can obviously reflect back on this slide as well. And these are sort of the main topics.
So a big thank you everybody for attending. Sorry we've run over by a few minutes. I've just got a couple of offers to send through. The first one is about our marketing survey. So can everybody see this? Is that showing up? Can you all see that now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Annika, obviously, we've been in digital marketing for 15 years. We're doing a digital marketing survey. We're big proponents in closing the digital skills gap. So it's really important that you help fill this in. If you've got time, we really appreciate it. There is an incentive, £100 voucher or a 3-day training with us, which would be an incredible experience for yourselves. So please, if you can have a go at that, that'd be great. Okay, and also if you can leave us a review as well, that'd be greatly received. Sarah and Jordan have put such effort into this, and I think you can see that through the examples and all the things that they've done. And it would mean the world if you can, leave a quick review. That would be great. And then next week, what's new in marketing automation software with Anne? I don't know if Anne's going to come back on, but looking at the latest updates and features, and that starts at 9 o'clock. So that's next Friday, the 4th of February. And just trying to find that now. well, I think I'm sure Anne can put that in the chat in a way, and we can send it out in the email. A few of you said today, can you have access to the transcripts? Of course you can. If there's anything else you need, my email address is katie@anika.co.uk. Just drop me a line. We'll get an email out to you all today. Really appreciate you being here. Really, it's been great. I mean, I've been in marketing for 20 years, and even I've learned a thing or two today, and those key tools as well are just amazing. So I can't thank you enough, Sarah and Jordan. You've been amazing. We're coming to a close now. So yeah, if you can, oh yeah, Anne's posted it in. Thanks very much, Anne. So the webinar link is in there now, and we'll be sending that out anyway next week. So you won't miss out, don't worry. Okay, all right then. Well, we'll see you next week, and have a lovely day and have a lovely weekend. I'm just going to bring this to a close, and just really appreciate, you know, all your Q&As today. It's been amazing. Okay, all right then.